we had the same questions coming in all our discussions, internal discussions, and the questions were, where will we get the land from? Whether, if in case we buy land, it will be from government agencies, will they give the land cheap to us? Will they provide infrastructure to us? Will they give quick approvals to us? Will they waive off the stamp duties and all of that for the end buyer? Now, all of those were there. Those were the external factors. We thought we will do a little differently. Let us not only wait for the government to give us all of that and then start. We thought we'll make our own beginning. What we thought was, let us focus on the inefficiencies on the system itself. Right. Now, I'm talking about internal inefficiencies. I'm talking about the design systems which exist today. They do not cater to, the design ideas do not cater to the low-cost housing. The procurement system do not cater to the low-cost housing. In fact, in the initial talks when we were looking at constructing low-cost houses, the idea was, let us keep cutting from the original idea of a premium house. So let us cut the air conditioners, let us change the flooring, all of that. Now, it means that what you're trying to do is, you are trying to, a luxury car, if you start trimming down the features out of that, you will not be able to get a low-cost option. So you have to, first of all, change the mindset. And the mindset has to change from the design systems itself and go on through the chain to deliver something which is good for the person who's there. We also understood many other aspects, like Mr. Jayakumar just mentioned about the standardization. I think that's very key. Standardization, I will also add one more thing, is about no frill. In our anxiety to offer something more to the customer, to the person who does not have anything today, we kept adding, why can't we give vitrified tiles to him? He has never seen it, let's give that to him. Why can't we add a few things which he might not actually need? What actually happened was, it kept on adding to the cost of the product. And what we did was, we realized that we are taking the dream of owning a house away from him just in the quest of offering him something. Right. So I think we worked on all of that, and we have around 120 points which we work on a constant basis. And what we believe is that only one thing will not solve this problem. Only land, as you rightly mentioned, if you offer me land today, if I do not have worked on everything else, if I have worked on my architecture and not everything else, I think nothing will work. So even if we improve 20% of each of the things which we do today, I think we'll be home.
I think, Manisha, if I can just add from where Mr. Jayakumar and Sandeep added on really two more points. One, I think this is also a function of what the market dynamics are. Prior to Lehman in 2008, it was all about luxury, premium, mid-level. The word affordable housing wasn't there. It's post-Lehman in sort of February of 2009, for the first time, we saw that media lapped it up, financial institutions lapped it up, consumers lapped it up, and it was because the markets were really going down like a brick, and the developers then changed the concept and moved into the affordability. The markets then recovered, and suddenly, first quarter of 2010, affordability was gone. So I think it's a function of how the markets perform, and when the markets are down, affordability comes up as a sector because it has a lot of unfulfilled demand. Once the market comes back, I think affordability is put on the back burner. That's right. One. So second, I may briefly touch is, and that's where really Jaya and Sandeep come in. I also think it's the organizational setup within the developer community. I think is the way a manufacturing or a pharmaceutical or a telecom industry who's coming into real estate looks at developing it is very institutional. Their expectation on efficiency, productivity, expectation on the profits is very different to the way that we've been doing work traditionally. And I think this affordable housing needs that institutional mindset, which is, we're going to work with a lot of efficiency, because in the past what has happened is any inefficiency has only profited the developer. So hence, there has been very little focus from an organizational point of view on bringing in productivity and efficiency. I thought I'll just sort of highlight those 2 points, which
so very interesting. Any inefficiency is always passed on to the consumer,
the land
and
is only
benefited the developer.
Yeah, and the land's escalated in price. So as a result of which, anything that you were to do today, the land 5 years ahead is going to be more expensive than it is today. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people keep cribbing about the fact that their houses are not getting delivered, but they don't have an option because if they switch, they will probably have to buy a very expensive product. So it probably works for everybody to have houses getting delayed. But anyway, that's another point. I'm going to, just ask, or something that Rajesh spoke about, that let's assume that all of these problems at some level do get taken care of with time, because we do have now a new minister who seems far more focused. Will developers then come forward, or do you really have to have a mandatory 35% reservation in every project to low income group? I will throw it open to the audience, but let me start with Mr. Raheja. 35% reservation, so why not?
No problem with 35%.
No
But
problem?
when it comes to constructing in one single project, you cannot make a developer to make 35% affordable housing in Connaught Place. You can't do that. So
Why not?
where will they work?
Oh, that's exactly my point, Mr. Raheja. People who work in my house do not want to live in Manesar. They really
Correct.
want to live next to
So
my house.
correct, but there are already the pockets. I personally feel there are a lot of pockets still available with the government, which should be made available for the purpose of affordable housing, and these pockets should be unlocked by the government. And these pockets are in the city. Can you believe even today, in the heart of Delhi, you can buy a jhuggi for 50,000 rupees? Why not create a multi-story building over there?
Agreed. Mr. Verma? 35% reservation or a compulsory, 25, 35, the number isn't important. Should it be made mandatory?
I think so, and that will be in the interest of everyone, including the developers. And as long as you have people coming in and be able to buy that house at the price point which you can offer, I think there is good market for it, and there is a huge market. Let me just add to that. It's essentially the production of housing and the supply chain which needs to be strengthened substantially. And also it needs to be made flexible and responsive to the demand situation. That's how the market will work most efficiently.
Yes, Mr. Jayakumar.
I think one of the things we need to be careful about, regardless of whether we make it 35% or 25%, is that we do not lose sight of the basic challenge that we have approval, standardization, and a variety of issues. We should not treat this as a solution. This is very nice and populist, saying 35%, 30%, whatever is to be done. It gets loaded on the other consumers who are effectively paying the subsidy for the land.
Right.
And it gets us into a false sense of accomplishment. The challenges are real, and we have to deal with them. And they are about the various discussions we have had many times over. So let's do the 25%, 30%, 15% as the case may be, but let's stay focused on the principal problem of dealing with some of the issues, approvals, funding, and all of that stuff, because the real issues have to be addressed.
So Anuj, why is it not happening? I mean,